as we sit around and complain about our lack of space vacations, miracle cures for obesity, and our crushing existential boredom, we usually fail to realize just how far we've actually come in just the past 50 years. Before the Summer of Love, people had some pretty unusual ideas about the world and what the future might hold. Here are some common ideas from 50 years ago that thankfully went the way of the banana splits. Oh baby. Pregnancy can cause all kinds of weird body problems, and that includes constipation.
If I don't ever poop again, well, that's just gonna be who I am.
Today, you have to eat healthy or possibly take a fiber supplement to relieve discomfort. But 50 years ago, doctors didn't bother with any of that healthy lifestyle mumbo jumbo. Instead, they advised pregnant women to smoke cigarettes. Alan F. Guttmacher, a legit gynecologist and obstetrician, said as much in his book, Pregnancy and Birth. On top of that, he also said, there is no logical reason to prohibit the moderate use of alcohol during pregnancy to the patient who enjoys and tolerates it. The biggest thing Guttmacher wanted moms to avoid was unsightly weight gain, which he wanted to be limited to 20 pounds. And if an expectant mom was starting to get heavy, try skipping lunch and substitute skimmed milk with a few unsalted crackers. Nothing is more important than keeping your hot pregnant butt, right? Just another reason to keep up your smoking habits before your baby bump gets out of control. So if you were born in the late 60s and came out a little weird, you probably have this guy to blame. Better dead than red. After pumping a baby full of more cigarettes and booze than Tom Waits.
Sell your heart to the Trump man, baby, for a buck.
What else can you do to your kid to make them a good, healthy American? According to Dr. Walter W. Sackett Jr., the very first thing you should worry about after giving birth was the spread of communism. In his 1962 book, Bringing Up Babies, Sackett felt that breast milk or formula weren't enough for a newborn, so babies should start eating cereal within 2 days of escaping the womb. By 9 weeks, a baby should be able to chow down on whatever else the family would normally eat, which was apparently mostly booze, cigarettes, and anything that would fit into one of those newfangled microwaves. Sackett wasn't completely crazy. He did recommend waiting until a baby was 6 months old before starting with black coffee. And when your baby cries at night, because its blood is basically 90% coffee now, don't even think about coddling it. Sackett insisted that a baby had to learn to suffer, and soothing a crying baby was, very literally, sowing the seeds of socialism. With one lullaby, you can throw off the global balance of power. And everyone knows that in communist Russia, baby has you. Game over. Even though video games are a multi-billion-dollar industry today and heroic fat plumbers have become global phenomenon, the seeds of the industry didn't even exist until 1967. That was when Ralph Baer assembled a prototype for the first home game system. Baer worked for a TV company, and though he tried to sell them on the idea of including a game system with their televisions, all but one of his bosses was dismissive. Video games seemed pretty stupid to most of the executives, though he got a little money to produce a prototype. After all, who'd want to play a game on a TV when you had all the thrills of Monkey's Uncle?
You're a monkey's uncle. It's wild! Complete with stunt mats, cards, horns, clickers, tricks, spinner, and monkey timer.
Patents were filed by 1971, and the device was sold to Magnavox, who sold it as the Odyssey. Unfortunately, by the time the system debuted, Atari's Pong stole all their glory, making headway through the taboo against TV gaming, which would totally never ever become popular. Pick your brain. Psychiatrist Walter Freeman thought he came across a life-changing medical procedure when he did his first ice pick lobotomy in 1946. See, Freeman figured that depression and mood problems were caused by having too much emotion, so he wanted to cut the emotional connection in the brain, literally. So, if you were feeling a little crazy, he took a metal rod and gently jammed it through your eye socket into your brain while you were still awake. If that sounds like a Mortal Kombat fatality, well, it's not too far off. For obvious reasons, people did tend to be much calmer or changed after the procedure, as anyone would be when they're left paralyzed or mentally disabled from a traumatic brain injury. Because there were so few reliable sources of medications available for the mentally ill at the time, it seemed like a great idea. Freeman traveled the country in a van he called the Lobotomobile, and even though an alarming proportion of his patients died along the way, that didn't stop people from coming. This went on until 1967, when he performed a lobotomy on a housewife who later died of a brain hemorrhage. That's when it was finally decided that he'd killed just a few too many people. He was forced to stop poking people's brains, and while lobotomies are still practiced today, they're done a little more carefully. Just make sure your doctor isn't named Scorpion or something. Friggin' laser beams. Laser technology was only just developing 50 years ago, and a lot of what was predicted in the 1967 documentary, The Laser, A Light Fantastic, actually came true. We're now regularly using lasers for surgery and tattoo removal just as predicted.
Laser surgery is still highly experimental. By the 21st century, a searing beam of laser light may join the scalpel as an essential surgical tool.
But they got one thing very, very wrong. In the late 60s, investors assumed that they'd need something to tackle the major epidemic of typewriter typos. The answer? Lasers. Like the world's most boring sci-fi ray gun, the functional laser eraser would kind of blast a single letter right off the face of a piece of paper without damaging the paper itself. Understandably, this was a pretty big deal when people actually typed stuff with ink instead of pixels. Lasers work their magic, and before you know it, it's like your dumb floppy fingers never even typed that extra E in the first place.
By golly, it works.
It does. All we need to do is miniaturize it and get it into mass production.
Your lowly secretarial job is saved, and it only took 10 minutes and harnessing the most advanced technology that the 60s had to offer. Thanks, lasers. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.